One percenters, welcome back to 1424 Basketball Training, where the goal is to take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better. In today's episode, Kobe Bryant, Greatest Peaks, episode 10. I'm excited. Let's go.
When Jordan retired, there was a race to crown the heir apparent, the next dominant shooting guard who could score, pass, and defend. As we saw last episode, Kobe certainly fit that bill when he was young. 360-degree dunks, wild shots, and some huge plays under Phil Jackson's tutelage. And that led Bryant to be seen as a Michael Jordan redux because of his build and style. But the thing is, he wasn't the next Michael Jordan. He was the first Kobe Bryant.
Every player steals from previous players. I don't understand why. And the newer generation players in general are better than all the older generation players.
At his best. We start at the NBA merger and go through the best multi-year stretches, examining the legends.
Kobe.
This is my man. This is Showboat. We call him Showboat, but y'all know him as Kobe Bryant. This is my main man. Mark my words, man. And I said this earlier in the season. It's going to be unbelievable.
Kobe was one of the most versatile, robust scorers in league history. He was kind of like a scoring artist, painting the court in just about every way possible. There were highlight finishes in the air, crafty, creative hoops. That's a street ball move in a playoff game. Okay. And everything else.
It's not a street ball. It's just a drag.
Pull-up jumpers from the mid-range, pull-up jumpers from three, even up fakes that sent opponents straight to the house of highlights. To illustrate this scoring diversity, take a look at the shot charts of the lead that sent opponents
stay down. Stan Van Gundy. I mean, if you ever played against a really elite offensive player, there's nothing you can do.
Diversity. Take a look at the shot charts.
The only thing you can do is make their life hard.
Larger hexagons mean more attempts. So you can see LeBron's largely rim dominant, and dark red indicates a higher shooting percentage compared to league averages.
I love these analytics.
Now here's Kobe. For better, and sometimes worse, he scored from anywhere and everywhere. Some of this blossomed out of necessity. He didn't have MJ's first step or LeBron's bionic size and strength at the hoop. In 2006, a 28-year-old Bryant had a good first step and fluid, high-level athleticism to build off of as a base. He was quick enough to punish slower players or big men out of water. He turned the corner on Tim Duncan like this a few times in the 2008 Western Finals. But he couldn't just blast by players like certain guards who relied on quickness. And it wasn't really acceleration that made Kobe a dangerous penetrator. He used craft, guile, and feel, a little hesitation to start a drive, and he loved this hard spin back at the rim. He heads right here, but is cut off, so the spin sheds the defender, and then off the wrong foot adjusts under LeBron to finish. Here it is in transition, the hesitation, and then feeling the defender recover, he spins back hard and leads with his body for free throws.
There's no wrong foot, and when I talk about these 6 jump types, I made a video a long time ago, or it's a lot in the teaching tapes. There's 6 jump types, and Kobe, I can go through and find Kobe doing them all, right? Left, right, left, right, right, left drop, and then right drop. So in a lot of these videos, you'll see, if you go through his scoring stuff, you'll see him effortlessly switch between a left-right plant, a right-left plant, a left jump, a right jump, a left drop, or an elastic and a right drop. You'll see it all the time, and it's not just for jumpers. It's when he's attacking the rim. If I go back and look at some of these, he already demonstrated them.
Balance and body control, along with great.
That's a right-left plant on a spin.
Instinct. Kobe was only around 6'5", barefoot, and he couldn't always elevate over defenders at the hoop.
That's just a left jump.
He might absorb contact while contorting to release a shot, although that didn't work every time.
That's a right jump.
Instead, he was snake-like at slithering into different angles to release the ball in traffic. His crossover was sharp enough to shake opponents, and Kobe senses a recovering Duncan and angles it right up on the glass. But this time, the finish is different. He's strong enough to stay balanced without losing Bruce Bowen, but because Duncan is stationed under the hoop.
Okay, so this is a left-right plant, power.
Him and banks it at his apex. This is subtle, but his intuition helped him audible at the rim. When attacking big men in space, he liked that in and out dribble and then altered his stride length as needed approaching the goal. Perhaps the ultimate example of his malleable finishing was his instinct for flowing to the
right-left plant,
where he'd throw off a potential shot blocker's timing by striding into a reverse layup. Now,
right plant.
His hesitation moves were so effective because defenses were worried about his pull-up.
There's his the drop.
And he could play these threats off each other. As the screen comes over, Duncan and Bowen are worried about his shooting pocket, and Bryant uses that against him with a nasty cross.
Right.
The threat of a dribble drive was enough to create airspace for his jump shot. Defenders had to sell out hard on his mid-range game, and that could be a problem for slower-footed opponents. Kobe had these fundamentals down. Know how many?
I can survey 1,000 players or 1,000 coaches, and I even looked it up. Everyone says learn the fundamentals. What the F is fundamentals? Why don't you guys tell me in the comments? Tell me specifically, what are the fundamentals? You can't say offense, defense. Like if you're coaching a team or if you're training your son or daughter, what are you teaching them? Tell me exactly what are you teaching them? What are fundamentals? I guarantee you we will not arrive at the same answers.
His moves come from a triple threat position and involved up fakes or jab steps, and he was so proficient getting to his spot and then rising up. He could also fire fairly accurate shots off a variety of setups, heading to his right or left from just a... He could also fire...
Rip, 1-2, drag,
shot
between, spin, right, left, plant, elevate.
Left from just about anywhere on the floor. That one was a long 2, and Kobe trafficked in these jumpers just inside the arc, which made for impressive shot making, but also suppressed. And Kobe.
This is just post catch brilliance, left, right, and then he just steps in.
Jumpers just inside the arc, which made for impressive shot making, but also suppressed his overall scoring efficiency. From 2006 to 2008, he attempted more 2-point shots outside of 15 feet than anyone in the NBA, but he only made 41% of them, which is exactly what the rest of the league made on these shots during that period. Kobe's scoring numbers during those seasons were the best of his career, but his efficiency lagged a touch behind some of the other huge volume scorers in this series, in part because he bled some value by not making those long shots worth 3 points when they went in. He was a bit ahead of the curve with his pull-up three-pointer, able to make a respectable
1%
of these at decent volume.
Jab and shoot.
Were really difficult, often scoring despite a large hand in his face. Videographers have sliced together edits of Jordan and Kobe making similar shots, but on this one, Kobe's is way harder.
Fading off to the right. So players do this nowadays. Very few players. The only way you're going to get through there is push through with the left foot and then land on one foot.
Full clutching before shooting. For my money, Bryant is the best tough shot maker in league history, or certainly the most prolific. He regularly drilled jumpers with a hand in his face and almost no airspace, and sometimes he fired these.
This is cold, man. This is cold-blooded. I think that's Courtney Lee. This is the finals.
Jumpers with a hand in it.
You think that he's playing good defense, and he is. Right, just get to his spot, elevate, use his angle, square in the air, elevate over.
And sometimes he fired these at all times.
No chance.
He's lost all momentum here, and his feet are actually crossed when he jumps, but hey, no biggie. We saw some of this feel with Larry Bird in episode 4. Subtle little adjustments to, hey, no biggie. He's lost all momentum.
So if you didn't believe me yet, when I say arms are more important than legs for shooting, okay, it doesn't matter which way your feet are pointing, man. Oh, point your feet at the rim. It does not matter. Absolutely does not matter. Jump, get up in the air, okay? Find the rim. It's your wrist. It's the release. It's your arms. If you can control the ball with your arms, it's not soccer. You can score.
No biggie.
So if you can self-organize to learn how to jump cross-legged, if you trained enough, yes, you will learn how to jump cross-legged.
We saw some of this feel with Larry Bird in episode 4. Subtle little adjustments to change the arc of a shot in a tight spot. And this comes from Larry Bird
again here.
Subtle little adjustments to change the arc of it.
Okay, here's the feet. All right, they're both pointing this way. And then the body's rotated this way, but then you can square your arm or your wrist back up. And it's not even your elbow. It's your wrist, because your elbow doesn't rotate. Your elbow only bends, doesn't rotate. Your wrist is a rotating joint. Your ankle is a rotating joint. Your knee does not rotate.
A shot in a tight spot, and this concentration was especially prominent on the backside of his offensive peak at the end of the 2000s.
Again, the ridiculous shot. This was the dumbest shot. I think I almost shit myself. I think I was at a restaurant watching this finals game when he did this.
Adaptability to
against like prime Dwight Howard. I almost lost my mind. Yeah.
Stop and pump fake players into oblivion and then shoot without any momentum, which is crazy difficult.
Pump fake, controlled fade
to find just enough room to arc it in. And he could trap defenders with these up from a complete stance.
How does he get it off? Here, pump fake, stand still, great defense. He's right here, right? This is positioning. He's closed. He's closed. Shoulders into this guy's chest. If you're open, chest to chest, it's going to get smacked or it's going to get blocked. Angles.
Find Justin.
Jump away. So once you jump in the air, then you can square your body or get your wrist around. But you got to jump and get space. You only have that space is because you're closed on the bottom. If you're not closed on the bottom, they're going to be able to jump right into you. If you're closed at the bottom, they have to wait for you to jump and rotate before they it's kind of exposed for them to play defense.
Enough room to arc it in. And he could trap defenders with these up fakes, which helped boost his free throw rates, especially during these peak seasons where he was slightly behind the all-timers, but still went to the line more than most players. He was also an early practitioner of the rip-through move. As we discussed in episode 8 with Akeem Olajuwon, these difficult shot attempts helped Kobe's playoff scoring numbers compared to his regular season ones, because he could still generate moderately efficient shots almost on demand, even against stingier postseason defenses. Of course, he could score with his back to the basket out of the post, where that balance and body control blended with his footwork quite nicely. He pivoted to a tough shot here, but he could just as easily swirl into the lane in the same situation. He went to his postgame a bit more by the end of the 2000s, and he was sturdy enough to bang into little turnarounds.
One hop, one drop, up and
under.
under.
Kobe and Shaq were scoring opposites. O'Neal dominated with incredibly high percentage shots.
Balance, controlled
Bryant
fade.
the rim with some frequency, so he propped up his scoring with versatility,
Pull up.
resilient shot making. But if there's one
Controlled fade again.
it's that scoring alone doesn't make someone a great player.
Left, right, pull up.
But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing an opportunity to really demolish the spirit of their team by attacking Carmelo offensively. After watching this game, I was really, really upset with myself. I don't see Trevor sitting over here in the wing. Trevor's arms, after the shot goes up, and then pass it to him. Damn it.
In the 2008 finals, the Celtics suffered.
Kobe's mentality is A1. Him and Jordan, I think, are the most freakishly mentally. And I would say Kobe would be one, notch just above Jordan, because Kobe is not like a Ferrari or Bugatti, man. He's an elite athlete, but not like LeBron, not like John Morant, not like Michael Jordan.
Became defensive scheme.
Kobe had to work.
Defend Bryant, clogging his driving lanes and inviting him to take jumpers. The Celtics overloaded his side when he had possession, and this kind of early rotation would have been illegal defense in the 80s or 90s, yet it was a strategic departure from what other high-end teams tried against the Lakers during their deep playoff runs. For instance, in the 09 finals, Orlando played these driving lanes straight up, relying on rotations after Kobe penetrated. Without a lightning-quick first step to escape these gambits or great size to pressure the rim, the Celtics held Kobe to 51% true shooting and shaved 5 points off his 2008-2009 playoff scoring. A good reminder that playoff matchups can heavily influence numbers. Boston also banked on
They played like Kobe rules, like Jordan rules.
Kobe looking to score in some of these tight spots instead of repeatedly passing. The exact point Kobe discussed in that clip against Denver when he missed the kick out to Trevor Ariza. Here you can
always get this fadeaway. When I talk about unguardable shots and unguardable spots, the baseline fadeaway going right is always there, or a punch step back. So this thing is always there. If you're right-handed, controlled fadeaway, if you have the angles right, it'll always be there. If you're here, you go punch step back, it's here. That Kawhi Leonard game winner is here. Dame Lillard's the unguardable shot is here. Like, if you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, it's just here. It's just turnaround fadeaways all going this way. Learn the angles, right? Like, shot selection is rarely ever taught. But like I said, if you're offense, you can practice all these moves and you can always get to them. And then people will think it's a difficult shot until they see you hitting it consistently. And you're like, well, I do this all the time.
Kobe looking to score in some of these tight spots instead of repeatedly passing. The exact point Kobe discussed in that clip against Denver when he missed the kick out to Trevor Ariza. Here he's covered by a bigger man and forces a tough clip against Denver when he missed the kick out to Trevor Ariza.
Okay, right here. Normally most players would jump and throw it all the way across their body to Sasha. Sasha doesn't do a great job of spacing anyways, because this is a super hard pass. If Kobe goes into this and throws it all the way back, Sasha's got to move over here, and Odom's got to get to this little gap sooner. If Gasol was actually trying to score, he would come here into this spot, okay? Or he would be under here so Kobe could pass it to him around here, but they all know Kobe's shooting, so Gasol's waiting for a long rebound miss.
Here he's covered by a bigger man and forces a tough fadeaway into a packed paint instead of kicking it out to a good shooter. Much like by a bigger man and
so super hard.
Forces a tough fadeaway.
Right? Could have went to the fadeaway
instead of kicking it out to a good shooter.
Who cares?
Much like we saw in episode 6,
Sasha.
Jordan, Kobe was always a little
right here. He can just rise up anytime he wants.
Over-calibrated towards shooting versus playmaking. Here he has 2 corner options when Phoenix collapses into the paint, but probes for an extra beat, and it's a turnover. I don't think this small imbalance chipped away at too much value.
That's that scoring mentality. I'm gonna do it again, do it by myself. These guys are a bunch of bums.
Because Kobe could make some of these double team shots.
Yeah, that's over Dwight Howard.
Defenses who loaded up on his scoring like this by finding open teammates.
So those guys, as long as they're ready, I mean, Kobe's gonna draw that double team all the time. All you gotta do is hit some shots.
He was tactical and often patient about getting opponents to commit to then free up a shooter. As that Nuggets series progressed in 2009, whenever Denver slid a defender down to spy on him, he opted for the kickout pass more and more.
He trusted those guys more and more when they would hit the shots for him.
Missed early passing chances as he hunted for scoring angles that didn't end all that well. Yet, even in that series, he made plenty of early reads. A defender is slid way over into his driving lane here, so he shuffles it to the open shooter. Kobe was known for his studiousness, and he could certainly read and react to how teams shifted toward him in order to generate easy shots for his family.
Shoot it, Smush Parker, you bum.
But he got centered a ton as well. Boston center help, and these two defenders are covering 3 Lakers, and Kobe threads a dart into the lane for free throws against the clock. Kobe grew up idolizing Magic Johnson, and while he wasn't his equal, he dropped some gorgeous dimes from time to time, or would-be dimes. Some of these passes in dynamic, non-traditional situations demonstrated a strong ability to map the court, and his athleticism helped with a variety of passing deliveries. Here he feels the help in the air, looks for his big man, and just tries to slap it in his direction. Most of his best passes were to big men like this. There's that patience to wait for help to leave Pau Gasol, and this one takes even sharper vision, finding...
Like, some of these are intentional because Kobe could always influence the game whenever he wants. So later in his career, he realized that he needs those other guys because it'd just be too hard in the playoffs to go 1 against 5 every time.
Rim runner with a jump pass to the front of the cylinder. Over the course of his career, Kobe's best, most consistent pass was probably the laydown, something he always had great feel for. Occasionally, he'd shoot in these spots, but if he sensed a defender coming over on a drive,
one of Kobe's greatest highlights is that drive and lob to Shaq.
Usually hone in on his open big man. Here he spots a teammate on the backside. Maybe the perfect pass arrives now, but Kobe knows if he collapses...
How the hell the perfect pass? How is he supposed to get this pass around? How is he supposed to get that pass around? Tell me how. Tell me how. Whoever thinking basketball is, how is he supposed to get this pass? Is it going to zip through this? Is it going to go through Carmelo's head? Is he going to bounce past it through his legs? Is he going to spin the ball and it'll hit here and come back to Gasol? This is Marcus Camby. This is a great rim protector. So if he lobs it to Gasol, I guarantee you Marcus Camby can go get that before Luke Walton or Gasol on that back end. That's not a good pass. That's not even an available pass.
Now, but Kobe knows if he collapses the zone, an easier angle will emerge. So
that's Luke Walton.
And now,
that's Luke Walton. That's not an open pass.
The zone, an easier angle will emerge.
So now he forces the thing, gets into the paint, gets 3.
Layup. And hey, Walton's back. Sort of. Where were we? Laydowns? Kobe would carve these out and then was able to deliver at a variety of angles depending on the situation, going with a soft lefty lob here after being corralled on his drive. The other option in those spots was the kick out, where if defenders pinch down from the perimeter, he could spray it back out for 3-point practice. After 2 hesitation moves, he runs into a wall here, but since the guard sinks in to help on Gasol, the kick out becomes the weakness to exploit. Using our best estimates, Kobe created plenty of shots like this for teammates, ranking behind only Jordan, James Harden, LeBron James, and Tracy McGrady among non-point guards. Point guard is sort of...
McGrady was slightly a more willing passer.
Behind only Jordan, James Harden.
Jordan was a worse passer, and LeBron's a way better passer.
LeBron James and Tracy McGrady among non-point guards. Point guard is sort of a misnomer here, since these are all lead guards, spearheading the entire offense as dual threats. For instance, Kobe ran plenty of spread pick and roll.
And LeBron at heart is a playmaker. When I talk about the 6 personalities, you have a playmaker, CP, LeBron. You get the idea. Scorers, Kobe, Jordan, McGrady. You have slashers like Dwayne Wade, Matt Barnes, Giannis, D Wade. You have defenders, Dikembe Mutombo, Draymond Green, etc. Who else am I missing? You got snipers, Curry, Klay Thompson, Ray Allen, etc. And then you have showmen. Very rarely do you see these guys in the NBA, but they make it here every now and then. One that just came back, Lance Stevenson. This dude is a clown. He loves to entertain, doesn't always make the shot. This would be Nick Young, now that I think about it, probably. Rafer Alston, who is in the N1, and then you got Bone Collector, you got Professor. Like, these guys are more showmen. Doesn't mean they can't play the game. It just talks about their personality, that they're here more to entertain and get attention. Defenders don't care about the attention. Snipers are the most prepared ones. They want things kind of known so they could prepare a lot. Slashers are your more opportunistic guys. They like running, they like slashing, they like the wind in their hair. Scorers are the me first, I can do it. If I need to do it, I'll do it by myself. Playmakers are the strategists. They see pieces ahead, they move things around. So this is like I said, CP, Jokic, LeBron, Jason Kidd, etc. So Kobe's definitely more scorer when they talk about non-primary point guards. LeBron's a playmaker. He's always looking to pass first.
Notice all the extra space compared to prior episodes, and he could score or playmake out of this action. He didn't really have an ideal pick and roll partner before Gasol, although Andrew Bynum's emergence as a role threat provided a little chemistry in 2007. When Pau did arrive in 08,
Kobe made Bynum.
Kobe ran the two-man game with him more frequently, and he could pop or roll comfortably next to Bryant. There's a little manipulation from Kobe by using the no-look pass to hold the defender. That one didn't always work, but it shows the capacity for higher-level ideas. He can also make the little pocket pass. This one is delayed until the big commits to Kobe, and then he threads the needle beautifully. And while he didn't anticipate tons of passes, he could drop wonderful dimes after reacting to the defense. The big man contests, so he audibles.
Right time, right type, right target.
Like bouncing it through a type.
Gets his hands late, funny looking bounce pass. Okay, but it's all correct.
The Kobe Pau pick and roll was a net.
It's not late. Like a pass, the pass is like this pass is not late. Like he read it late, but the pass is perfectly on time.
The big man contests, so he audibles by bouncing it through a tight window. The Kobe Pau pick and roll was a nasty option to fall back on late in the possession.
Again, right time, right type, right target, pick and roll. Duncan comes to hedge. There's that little window. Okay, you can't throw a rifle bullet pass. You can't throw this. You can't throw a hook bounce pass, right? It's got to be like a hook type up here somewhere. He could have probably threw it behind the back, but if he throws it behind the back, Pal's going to be running that way. So that's going to be very, very, very difficult. So what type of pass does he go with here?
Nasty up.
Right, he turns.
Fall back on late in the possession. That look away technique holds the help defense. This time it's successful, and Pau could
one-handed rifle.
On this one, the defense sits on Gasol's roll, so Kobe whips it to Lamar Odom, who makes the extra pass, and both Laker big men could pass.
So he understands.
So Kobe whips it to Lamar.
He understands the spacing and the timing. He understands that he himself, after whoever here zones off Gasol, he can't get this through there because that lob will take forever. So he rifles it here. So he understands, the pieces.
Or Odom, who makes the extra pass, and both Laker big men could pass or finish in these spots. 2008 was a huge upgrade in roster.
So like a lot of the assists, they don't go to Kobe, but he draws a lot more attention and he passes a lot more than the history in terms of assists would show.
Construction from prior seasons, where mediocre shooters and passers flanked Kobe, Lamar.
He hates Kwame.
Odom was always able to create some offense and act as a secondary playmaker next to Kobe, but Gasol took the Lakers to another level with his diverse offensive package. His post game made him an all-NBA level player, stocked with a full pantry of post moves that includes soft touches with his right and left hand around the basket. And after his arrival,
Gasol is super nice.
Exploded. From 2008 to 2010, LA's playoff efficiency was about 6.5 points better than what their opponents allowed in the regular season. Since Kobe's offense slowed down a bit, chopping off 2010 might better capture this team at its brief peak, a fantastic stretch that was a rung down from the all-time greats. There were a few holes in Kobe's passing game. He was willing to try tight passes. This one is picked off, but it's also a delivery issue where if he doesn't throw it higher, he needs to throw it earlier or with a different delivery angle altogether. It's also a delivery issue where if he doesn't.
So right time, right type, right target, wrong type, right?
Throw it higher.
Was it the wrong time?
It,
Did he read it correctly? Okay, so Bruce Bowen looks like Pau Gasol is gonna box him out. Pau Gasol slides. Bruce Bowen's a great defender, moves around.
But it's also a delivery issue where if he doesn't throw it higher, he needs to throw it earlier or with a different delivery angle altogether. He didn't really whip fastballs off the dribble at different angles like some players, and instead he often tried some of these tight squeezes while in the air in lieu of shooting. These all might be audibles out of shots, but I wonder if he went to the jump pass because he wasn't that big. Size could bother him on traps and lead to some blind spots.
I guarantee those passes are Kobe forcing the other guys. He's trying to get them involved.
We saw the much taller Lamar
Odom. Kobe in all those
shooting off the dribble
in all of these shots, Kobe can clearly shoot it.
Tight squeezes
like right here, he can shoot it.
Air in lieu of shooting. These all might be audibles out of shots, but I wonder if he went to the jump pass because he wasn't that big. Size could bother him on.
That was a bad pass.
And lead to some blind spots. We saw the much taller Lamar Odom make this exact pass a second ago, and Kobe was inconsistent about hitting the roll man on this action when the defending big man jumped him hard. He also missed some straightforward passes. That's there for the taking, and jumped him hard. Oh, and Kobe was inconsistent about hitting the roll.
Right here.
Oh, man.
Yes, you can throw it to Ronan Turioff. They want you to throw it to Ronan Turioff, but this is a better pass to probe this, and Devin George is on this side. You're going to get a wide open three for Lamar Odom.
When the defending
Like that's a hard. This is a hard. I mean, I gear my team to play like this. Like going this way and throwing back this way across your body for right-handed players is very, very tough. Like you'd have to throw a left-handed hook pass or a left-handed lob. Like this makes no sense. I mean, I actually teach my players to force them to drive left and leave this open. And I'm just a dude on the internet.
Big man jumped him hard.
So one of the shortest shots in the game, the corner three.
He also missed some straightforward passes. That's there for the taking. And in my study,
I'm not passing it to Smush Parker.
In these home run situations. So well, he has for the taking, defending big man.
So when I talk right time, right type, right target. Target is you branch that off into KYP, know your personnel. Like Roni Turioff, is he a giant lob threat? No. Left-handed pass to him? Hell no. Off the bounce, lob? Hell no. I'd rather throw it to Lamar Odom. Right here. Am I really diming this to Smush Parker, a small point guard down here? What the hell are you gonna do? He's gonna Chris Bosh or whoever, all these guys are gonna turn around and pin him on the glass, or he's gonna end up kicking it to this dude in the corner. Or turning it over himself, right? I'm Kobe Bryant. I'm shooting this.
Mostly seem to miss wings and smalls in these home run situations. So while he had some limitations as a passer, his play,
like again, right here, this is Luke Walton. I'm not throwing this to Luke Walton down there.
Was an enormous part of his offensive attack, but his offense wasn't.
So there's errors of omission and errors of commission. Like this dude is giving him errors of omitting, like not making the pass. Like sometimes not making the pass is the right pass. And then the only time most people kind of knock people is when they actually show the bad pass. Like a lot of times players will like look and they'll pass and be like, oh, my bad. I saw you. No, you didn't see me. Like you saw me too late. Even if you saw me earlier, you wouldn't be able to pass it. So there's errors of omission and commission. And he's getting chalked up for errors right here that I would not even remotely close call them errors.
Nearly as polarizing as his controversial defense. Bryant's size was also a small factor on the defensive end. For instance, he had mixed results holding down the fort against bigger, stronger players in the post. There are some plays where the engagement isn't entirely there, and then others where he battles hard with more success. Similarly, Kobe wasn't much of a vertical presence around the basket. When he was near the rim, he often went to a swipe down move, and sometimes these connected beautifully.
What's he going to do against these guys?
On occasion, he turned a running start into a highlight block, but these high leverage plays were less common. Kobe averaged
that's an off-ball wing going for a block.
Another game during these years, and only provided occasional rim protection as a guard. These rotations in the paint can provide tons of value.
How much rim protection do you need from a guard?
And he couldn't afford to arrive late in these spots. He should have rotated here once the double team arrived. And he couldn't afford to arrive late in these spots. He should have rotated.
Again, this is a KYP. This is a very difficult pass. If the scheme is a double team here, this pass should never get through, right? So he has to sit in this passing lane. Eddie House is a wide open three. So this is not a good trap. If you're going to trap, you can't let this pass go back down.
The double team arrived. Although in general he was usually pretty buttoned up.
So they're posting up Jordan Farmar, who's small. That's Paul Pierce. Here comes the double. So and then that's just the ball's going over Jordan Farmar's head. This trap is too slow.
Once the double team arrived, although in general he was usually pretty buttoned up with most of his rotations, tagging the big man in pick and roll either from the baseline or elbow area. And this is a great sequence where he re-helps on the drive, then recognizes the corner is open and runs the shooter off the line. Unlike the facial he received a second ago, this time he's early helping the helper, and being early on these rotations is key for a wing versus a big man. He can deter the pass or deflect it, but arrive a step later and he would swipe for the ball, and that's a foul. Around 2007, Bryant emerged as a vocal leader.
I'm hacking Dwight Howard.
Pointing on this play as LA switches a number of actions here, and this was in conjunction with the Lakers playing more complex schemes. They zoned up or switched the weak side constantly as the league adopted more pick and roll offense. Although these rotations weren't always super crisp, for example, he's a little late sliding here, and that leads to a desperate closeout. In general, Kobe wasn't super active on the weak side like this, not making a ton of plays. That's sort of an errant gamble there. And when he staked out these situations, he was quite vulnerable to backdoor cuts. He was actually vulnerable to backdoors in general throughout his career, tracking the ball a bit too hard. And when zoning two, he took a somewhat extreme stance toward the ball handler and could idle a bit. And this responsibility is really about anticipation and effort, is what made Larry Bird dangerous in these spots. And I'm not sure Kobe had the motor to go full tilt on plays like these and carry his enormous offensive load. Back on offense, Bryant drained additional fuel by moving without the ball, regularly working for a better position in the post, and staying active in order to.
The best defensive players are one, really, really athletic. And then the thing that sets defensive players apart is how much intelligence they have. Like, how big is their brains? How much did they study the film, players' tendencies, reads, anticipation? You cannot always be there. Defense is always one step behind. But if you can study and jam up people and make them very, very uncomfortable, great defenders, they're not always like what you think about, like the on-ball guard you full court one-on-one. It's about sliding, rotating, getting in a position before messing the rhythm up. There's a lot of things that you can't track a stat on unless there's some super analytical complex stuff that I don't know about, but it's very hard to track. You have to be able to see the game from a basketball coach's perspective or a player's perspective, realizing who's really good at defense and who's screwing everything up.
Pressure defenses. When he was overplayed, he had a nice back cut himself to escape defenders, and he could comfortably flow into catch and shoot options in the mid-range. This meant he could fit well next to other high-level passers, but it also meant
Throw it
that he
down.
couldn't much on offense. So without an all-time motor, Kobe couldn't go full throttle on defense for 40 minutes as well.
Without an all-time motor, what the?
He relapses for just a moment and loses contact with Ray Allen. They wisely switched him off Allen for the rest of the series after this. And while he put an all-time motor, Kobe couldn't go full throttle on defense for 40 minutes as well.
Dude scored 81 points. You know how hard it is as a guard to get up 81 points? Do you know how much effort it takes to get up a shot when everybody knows you're shooting? Dude scored 60 on his last game on half a leg.
He relapses.
This is anticipating the first one. Okay, that's great. Here he's got to navigate two screens.
Ray Allen.
I mean, that's a great on-time pass. You're not going to do anything about that. That's great defense. Same thing. Whoever's guarding Steph Curry, if they're chasing him around like that and Steph Curry makes it, there's nothing you can do about it.
And while he could do solid work chasing players around, he wasn't ideal for this kind of task at this point in his career. He could get a bit stuck at times navigating around screens, especially against bigger screeners like this, although he was pretty good at dipping his shoulder around them and staying fairly connected to his.
You need, like, to navigate screens, depending on when you get hit, smaller steps around it is quicker, but
man,
it's very hard to knock him for this.
Big steps can make it tricky to bypass screens, but
yeah, that was a great point there.
It's hard to recover and stay in front of the ball here. He couldn't always bring this level of intensity. He kind of hops his way out of position against a dangerous pull-up three-point shooter here.
That's Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas is a savage shooter, man.
When he did go,
he's a scorer. He was a point guard, but he's not a playmaker.
He could provide good point of attack defense. And this on-ball defense is what kept him on all defensive teams long after his defensive peak that we saw in the last episode. He was versatile guarding the perimeter, able to chip away a little at bigger forwards, and in particular, switch onto point guards. He had fairly quick feet and used angles and his size well. In their 2008 series.
That's brains. If you use angles and your size, you're not going to stay with Tony Parker using just speed. You're not going to stay with someone heavier banging around Paul Pierce. You're not going to win that post game when he's guarding Carmelo Anthony or even LeBron. You got to force players to do what they don't want to do against you, using your strength against their weakness. So back when Kobe was like really, really good, he was guarding like Westbrook and stuff. Westbrook's not that good anymore.
Kobe had successful moments against the lightning quick Tony Parker, and here you'll notice he shades him left by design into the help. Bryant seems as studious and technical with his defense as he was.
Look at this is discipline. This is so solid. Boom. Force him into the step back. So that left-handed pass that I told you guys about, this is a super hard, tough pass to make. Has to jump and get rid of it. Closes out hard to the left side. Force him left. There he is. Body of pressure him. Get into him.
He was with his offense. Only he wasn't that disruptive as a defender, blowing up screening actions or flying into the lane to choke out advantages. This is a great bit of awareness in transition, sliding over to stop the ball, but plays like that were rare during these years, and Kobe's steal rate was around the 75th percentile historically, which was good but not great for a guard. As we've
75th percentile
seen, he could attack the ball.
Isn't that really good?
Like this, although there were a number of plays where he was reaching for a steal, and that left him out of position. In a 2007 game, Phil Jackson said he had some riverboat gambler in him. And while I don't think he gambled nearly as much as someone like Jordan, he had his fair share of whiffs. He liked to shoot the gap, and this was also how he collected some of his steals, and those interceptions were more memorable and looked great on highlight reels. Kobe also had his fair share of blow-bys off the dribble against quicker guards, although some great defenders can be susceptible to breakdowns like this, so I don't think they chipped away at too much of his value.
Nobody could stay in front of Baron Davis.
Impact metrics like adjusted plus minus or PIPM tend to view him as around neutral on defense, and I think that's in the right ballpark, given his lack of involvement in the paint and sporadic guarding of opposing lead guards. But despite his lack of a defensive motor, I think his understanding of schemes combined with his versatility to provide effective point of attack defense against 3 positions makes him a small positive on that end. The more interesting question is just how high were his offensive heights? He could be shot heavy at
How was Kobe like first team all defense if he's saying his defense is like
times,
average?
but his insane shot making provided a ton of resiliency in the playoffs. After all, the only defense to really slow him down during those years was the historically great Celtics. While most of his value came with the ball, his off-ball skills were strong enough to provide impact next to other high-level teammates. And so
Kobe was a threat off the ball because he would just do this. This is catch and shoot.
his off-ball skills were strong enough to provide impact next to other
Like coming off this triangle offense all the time. Boom.
teammates. And so while his defense might keep him from competing with the best of the very best, it's easy to see why so many people view Kobe Bryant as one of the best offensive players to ever grace the hardwood.
I mean, if Kobe wasn't as good offensively, would we be praising him for his brilliant defensive skills as a team in terms of scheme, strategy, angles, using his body and all that stuff, and a motor? It is very, very hard to tell if they could do that. Kobe, one of my greatest favorite players, probably my favorite player ever. Him, T-Mac, some other guys up in there. Durant and Jokic, obviously, on my thing. Cool little video. I think I just got caught up on the defense stuff. I don't agree with a lot of stuff. I don't agree with a lot of the passing stuff. But that's always up for debate. Who's your favorite player? Let me know. Until next time, take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better. Peace.